I've been in this space for almost a decade now. And I remember Bitcoin before it was $1, and then going up to 30, then down to 4, then to 250, then to 80, then to 1200, then down to 250 again, then up to 20,000, then down to 4,000, then to 64,000, and now we're in the 30s. And I remember all the events, the collapse of Silk Road, the collapse of Mt. Gox, all the various interesting ventures throughout the years, like Mastercoin and Color Coins, and a litany of other things and concerns. And no matter where I go, what I do, it always amazes me that there's this constant rhyming of the attitude. So the old guards, nothing phases us anymore. We've seen everything twice just to make sure we didn't miss anything. The new people, the minute that something occurs, like, for example, the collapse of a stable coin or the collapse of BitConnect or these types of things, then they say, oh my God, this is the end of crypto. Everything is over. Oh, we're all going to die. The markets are over. The dream is gone. What's happening right now is there's over $300 trillion of institutional money floating around the world looking for a home. The last 20 years in particular, there's been a hyper acceleration in the printing of money. This is what Ron Paul was talking about, all the Austrians were talking about, and nobody really listened to them. America went from $4.5 trillion in a national debt, a surplus, to over $30 trillion, and the prospect of a 3% interest rate, meaning it costs you $1 trillion a year just to service your debt. This is not healthy. The world economy is not healthy. And there's now the biggest division ever between the retail investor and the institutional investor. The institutional investor, they have basically a mandate to go and push somehow, some way with their trillions of dollars under management, 10, 15% returns. Now, 10, 15% returns on top of inflation of 20%. They're doing all kinds of monkey business and shenanigans. Why is it your homes are getting so expensive? Well, because the BlackRocks of the world and the massive private funds of the world are going and buying regular, everyday 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes through big aggregators. And you wake up and you see a $250,000 home become $500,000, $750,000. Can you afford it? No, because wages don't track with that. It's a good investment for them. It's a good hedge at the moment for inflation, but it's not permanent. Last 2 years, we saw the greatest wealth transfer in human history from the poor to the rich. And now the rich are admitting that maybe all the things that they did over the last 2 years were not necessary, but they don't give the money back, the property back. You see the Great Reset, Davos. This year I was going to go out of disgust. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Because what are they doing? They're saying you'll own nothing and be happy. All the farmland is going to be owned by the rich people and the big companies, multinational companies, international funds. All of the supply chains run by a small group of hyper-consolidated entities that are transnational. Don't give a fuck about the little person. The retail side, people are opting out. Problem is there's less money on the retail side now than on the institutional side. If you look at the selling rates of crypto, what's happened over the last 6 months is institutions have been dumping their crypto. Some, like Saylor and others, are holding on and doing everything in their power to go Team Orange. But most are looking at it as a high-risk, high-return asset. And in times of recession, reallocate your portfolio. This was always the danger of inviting the Wall Street types in.
What do you guys think about what Charles just said there? I mean, what he's saying, he's not lying about. Even if the World Economic Forum doesn't come out and say, hey, you'll own nothing and be happy, it's a very true saying. The rich will continue to get richer and the poor will continue to get poorer. It's just the way capitalism works. And it all starts with the M2 money supply. We can see here it has gone up and up and up. And because of COVID, we overreacted and printed trillions and trillions of dollars. And that caused inflation. And because of inflation, we're trying to take some of that money out of the supply. But you can see just recently it started to tick back up here. So they're continuing to print money it will never end. And the reason why they have to continue to print money is because if they stop printing money and this starts to go negative, the whole system will collapse. Real estate will collapse. The stock market will collapse. A lot of these traditional financial systems will collapse because they're all based on debt. And we have seen this. The U.S. is over $32 trillion in national debt. When those interest rates rise, they're up to around, I think, 6 or 7% now. They have to pay interest on that debt. So it's just unsustainable. Interest rates will come down eventually, but this will continue to the upside. Even if they have to manipulate the inflation numbers to look like there isn't really inflation, they will definitely do that because they don't want to break our economy. And just like what Charles was saying, if you look at the median sales price of houses sold in the United States over a long period of time is going up and up and up. It's going up around 10% a year on average. And the problem with that is wages are not keeping up with that. Wages aren't even keeping up with how much the stock market goes up every single year, which is around 7%. Wages historically have gone up 2%. You can see it right here in this chart. Over 50 years, the difference is even more striking. After accounting for inflation, home prices have jumped 118% since 1965, while income has only increased by 15%. You can see that right here in this chart, and it's going to continue this way. There's nothing that's going to stop this money printing now. It's basically impossible unless they want a major recession to happen, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think our country and our world has gotten infected by these fiat currencies. Every time any type of recession happens, any type of breakdown happens within our economy, they print money to fix that problem. We just saw that recently, earlier this year, when the banks were crashing. They printed money to get out of that stress. Back with COVID, they printed money to deal with that stress. Back in 2008, they started it. They printed money to bail all the banks out. It's just kind of like a crack fiend who continues to put more crack or heroin into his veins. It's just not overall sustainable. Eventually, it'll get you feeling better for a short period of time, but long periods of time, the rich will continue to get richer, the poor will continue to get poorer, the middle class will get squeezed out, and that is where our country is going. And this is why the Bitcoin bros like Bitcoin. Look at this Bitcoin chart here. This is the Bitcoin balance on exchanges. This is the exact opposite of the US dollar. The amount of Bitcoin on exchanges, they're continuing to lose more and more Bitcoin because they cannot afford to get any more. That Bitcoin halving cuts that supply in half every 4 years that gets released to the general public. And right now we can see we're hitting all-time lows over the past 3 years since we've hit this high here for Bitcoin balance on exchanges currently. And I think that trend will continue, especially after the halving and the miners aren't able to mine as much BTC. And as the long-term holders aren't selling their Bitcoin, the diamond hands aren't getting rid of their BTC at all. And I mean, Bitcoin's gone down from around $65,000 all the way down to $15,000, back up to around $31,000, down to 26. And the long-term hodlers are still buying more and more and more. It's a very good sign that people believe in the long-term vision of Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin will continue to appreciate over time because of the money printing, because of the debasement of fiat currencies. And Bitcoin is limited in supply, and there's not that much out there. There's not enough Bitcoin for each millionaire on the planet to own one. So just put that in perspective. Let me know what you guys think about all that in the comment section below. Do you believe in this new world order that potentially could be coming? Want to know what you guys think. My name's Aaron from the Bitcoin Bros. Like I said, thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.